Man, Halloween 4 is what I will be reviewing today. As you guys know, I'm continuing on with the Halloween reviews. So, Halloween 4 is what I will be reviewing today. Let me tell you, Halloween 4 will always be my personal favorite in the whole franchise. And it's a classic. I think it stands right up there with the original Halloween, and it deserves to be up there with the with the original Halloween. It deserves to be right up there. So, Halloween 4 picks up right after Halloween 2, and Halloween 4 does a good job explaining where Michael has been. This movie does a real, and I don't think this movie gets enough credit for that. They give you a good explanation and good logic for everything that this movie does that not a lot of other Halloween movies do. This movie does that in a good way. So you get explanation of where, Michael has been, Dr. Loomis has been. You find out, what's wrong with, Dr. Loomis, like like his burns and stuff. And this has one of the best atmospheres. Halloween 4 has one of the best atmospheres. It's well directed, some great cinematography. Donald Pleasance did a great job as Dr. Loomis. One of my favorite scenes by him in this movie is the ending, because you could feel that emotion. And the two characters you follow in is Jamie Lloyd and Rachel. Two awesome classic characters that sadly never got used again. Yeah, they got used in Halloween 5, but let's not talk about that. But yeah, I think it's so sad that Rachel and Jamie and even Danielle Harris herself, these characters never got the credit they deserve. This movie never got the credit it deserved. It never got and I think that's just sad to me, because I really love this character Jamie. You really feel for her. You can't talk. Apologize. You really feel for her. You really put yourself in her shoes. You know, and Rachel's a really good character. She has progression growth throughout the movie. She, has some flaws to her as a person, but as the film progresses, she, becomes, a better person to Jamie. She becomes a better person to Jamie. I think that makes her one of the best characters in this whole franchise. Um, George P. Wilbert is he's one of my favorite Michael Myers. I love his performance as Michael. I think he laid the groundwork for what Michael should be moving forward. Does the shoulder pads bother me? Yeah, of course, the shoulder pads bother me. But there's nothing wrong with this movie, in my opinion. It's a really good movie. Love the score. I love how they took the old score from the original, but they also added new cues here and there, and you can notice the new cues. The POV shots, I hear no one really talking. The POV shots are done so well. To me, they have like their own flavor. They're just done differently. I don't know what it is, but the POV shots in this movie, at Halloween 4, are done so differently. I don't know what it is, but they're just done way differently. The mask in this, I I'm not a fan of the mask. But at the same time, the mask doesn't bother me. The mask bothers so many people. I'm sorry, the mask doesn't bother me. Now, I will say this: I think they should have stuck with I do think they should have stuck with the whole bandage look. That look was very badass for Michael. I think they should have just stuck with the bandage look. I think that was unique, and would have made this movie stand out even more, because they would have did, away, with that classic, Michael Myers mask. The whole bandage look, I think would have took so long for people to, to accept it. But people love that bandage, that whole bandage look on Michael. So yeah, I think that should, should have just stuck with it, you know. And should have just ran with that. You got another awesome character, Sheriff Meeker, who actually believes Dr. Loomis, right? Like soon as the movie starts, he kind of believes, Meeker. So really awesome, unique kills that stand out. And there's a whole variety of kills. This movie starts off with a bang, Michael putting his thumb in this guy's forehead. You know, so many iconic moments in this movie, and it's done well. It's really hard to say, is this the best one in the franchise? Maybe so. Like, it's really hard to say, but this is everything you want in a Halloween sequel. This is everything you want. Great atmosphere, well directed, very awesome shots of Michael. You know, small details like the fog rolling in the Haddonfield. So, something, no one talks about, something that, has never been used in other, in other Halloween movies. And you know what I find really interesting? There's stuff in this movie that they never used in other Halloween movies that they need to bring back. And one of that is the fog. That was just, cool to me, like that fog. And yeah, the whole fog and the way this is directed. And this movie really puts you in a fall feel. This movie really puts you in a fall like feel. You really feel like you're in October, you're in Halloween, you know what I mean? You really get a Halloween feel. And the whole intro really does give that vibe off. The whole intro is really good, and it gives that whole vibe that, it is Halloween season. That is, I love that. It's just well directed. And this whole movie is well directed, and I think it's sad. That this movie doesn't get credit. The character's Rachel. Jamie doesn't get enough credit. Look, I love the character Laurie Strode, but everybody talks about her. She is so overdone at this point. Let's start talking about Rachel. Let's start talking about Jamie. You know what I mean? Maybe one day we can finally start talking about these characters and seeing how successful they was and how popular they was. And you know what? I find it, and too, no one talks about this. Halloween 4 is the only Halloween movie that had balls and was able to make a Halloween movie without Laurie Strode, and was successful at doing it. This movie was successful at doing it. You can say Halloween 6, well, that didn't have Laurie Strode in it. Yeah, but it wasn't successful, and it split fans down the middle. This one did everything right. You know what I mean? This one did everything right, and this is the perfect sequel. Unique kills, well directed. Michael was a badass in this. There's some really cool shots of Michael, like standing in the streets and stuff. Again, Jamie, one of the best characters in this whole franchise. My opinion, Rachel, another best character in the franchise. Dr. Loomis, he's really starting to get onto that edge of even falling crazy like Michael almost. And again, the ending, I wish I got to see this in the theaters in the 80s. I think we can all agree with that. If you wasn't around in the 80s, you will, you always dreamed of seeing this movie in the theaters. Because just think about that. The first time seeing this movie in the theaters and you see that ending, that jaw-dropping ending, and all the potential that ending had. Obviously, she could have been the killer in the next movie, but guess what? You couldn't, you couldn't make her the killer because people would get upset. So I think that's where where the whole creative flow should start at. You can't make her the killer because Michael always has to be the killer. So what can he do with that? And paying really close attention to that scene, where Jamie's holding the scissors, she's in the clown outfit. You can see in her eyes, she wanted to do it again. Like, she wanted to, kill Meeker next. You know what I mean? Like, she just had that in her. And I think, wow. You know what I mean? Like, that is a well-directed scene, from Donald Pleasant's, from, Donald Pleasant's, whole delivery. And from, just the way Daniel Harris was doing that scene. And just the way it was directed and written and everything. This will always be one of my favorite Halloween movies. It will always be number one or this movie will always be number one or number two for me. It will always hold that spot no matter what, because this movie does stuff that other Halloween movies never did or just never dared to do. And they're all. That's another thing too about this Halloween movie, is that this movie focuses on the town. There's not a lot of other Halloween movies that focus on the town. You see people trick-or-treating. It's night. There's people trick or treating. They're having fun. They're having a blast. You're in a small town. You really get that feel and vibe, and you know, just this Halloween movie really encapsulates fall and just the whole atmosphere very well. And there's not a Halloween movie that does that. The only other Halloween movie that does that is Halloween 5 and Halloween 6. And I hope Halloween Kills really encapsulates on that as well, that whole autumn type of feel. I think that's a really awesome feel to have in the in this franchise. Halloween 4 is so special to me. It will always hold a special place in my heart, and I wish people would give us more credit. I wish this movie would get more credit and more love, you know. And I just wish more people would, like Rachel and Jamie more. I think that's so disappointing. The Halloween 4 was such a big hit, and they never used Jamie. They never used Rachel properly. I think Halloween H2O, that should have been the proper sequel to Halloween 4. That should have been the proper sequel to Halloween 4. You know what I mean? Like, it's disappointing to me. It really is. The characters Jamie and the character Rachel never got justice in this franchise. They never got the credit that they deserved, and that's really disappointing. And even Danielle Harris never got the credit she deserves, from this franchise. So yeah, Halloween 4, love this Halloween movie, love this horror movie. It will always have a special place in my heart. It will always be number 1 or number 2, really depending on my day. But yeah, Halloween 4, it's just a classic. I got the menu playing right now. This menu is awesome, by the way, on the Blu-ray, because I'm just looking at it right now. Yeah, and the whole shot, like the whole shot, when Dr. Loomis is like in the diner. That scene is just so eerie, because it's like, you can start to feel, what is Dr. Loomis feeling in that moment? What is Michael feeling in that moment? And yeah, some really cool stuff at Halloween 4. If you what, I can't talk. If you don't like Halloween 4 for some odd reason, give this movie another chance, because I love it. Just give this movie another chance if you don't love it. Halloween 4 is probably one of the best in the franchise, and I wish more people would watch this movie, and just give it the love, that it deserves, because I feel like it deserves that spot right beside the original. It deserves that spot. It deserves that spot to be right beside the original. And that's my opinion on Halloween 4. Halloween 4, 10 out of 10. Just like the original, this is a 10 out of 10 movie for me, and it will always be a 10 out of 10. You can watch this movie, you can really watch this whole franchise any time of the year. But Halloween 4 is the best one to watch any time of the year, especially during summer, June, July, early August, because you start to get that Halloween feel. It really puts you in that mood, you know what I mean? So yeah, Halloween 4, love this movie. It's a 10 out of 10. Highly recommend you guys checking it out. If you haven't, for some odd reason, this movie's a classic. It's iconic. I really wish, it would give him, can't talk. I do really wish, it would get more credit. Again, talking about The Mask for a minute. I'm not a fan of The Mask, but The Mask doesn't bother me. I'm sorry. I think The Mask looks cool in some shots. Again, that's my opinion. Is The Mask perfect? No. Is The Mask ugly sometimes? For sure. Is The Mask a eyesore? Sometimes. But the real eyesore is the weird shoulder pads. I don't know whose idea that was, but aside from that, iconic, the whole, the whole school scene, and the whole scene, that is so creative to me. That is so that is so creative to me. Is being trapped in a house with Michael Myers, and good logic and good explanation of why they're trapped in this house with this boogeyman, basically death, basically, you know what I mean? Like, why are they trapped in this house? Well, because they don't know where the key is. Simple, but it's also, a good explanation. Trapped in this house with Michael, love that. That is, I can't talk. I want that. I can't talk. I want that in another Halloween movie because I think that's just creative. Trapped in a house with Michael Myers. That is the most easiest thing to come up with. Trapped in a house with Michael. Getting Halloween 4, it is very simple. It's very simple, straight to the point, short, but it's so effective of what it does. And I wish we got a proper sequel to this. Yeah, we got Halloween 5, but it's not a proper sequel, and it's sad because I don't think we would never get a proper sequel to this classic, iconic sequel. That was my review for Halloween 4, 10 out of 10. If you enjoy, smack the like button. Please subscribe. If you're a first time viewer, like I said, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live or even upload a brand new video. I'm planning some live streams very soon. Stay tuned for those. Go in the link in the description. Check out everything I have there. And we'll see you guys in the next one.